Hello, I'm Ellie, host of The Healthy Practice. In this episode, I'm delighted to be joined by Bibi Jamison. Bibi is an integrative psychotherapeutic counsellor, a couples therapist, and mother-daughter coach. Bibi's practice, Restore to Love, offers a hybrid of online and in-person sessions from Bibi's lovely, calm space in Richmond. Bibi is here with us today to discuss the importance of maintaining supportive relationships as a therapist. As most of you know, being a healthcare professional in private practice can mean you're often working alone, taking on big emotions from clients, and having to make tough business decisions by yourself on top of that. Having a supportive network around you can mean you're not facing the big issues by yourself. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Hi, yes, well, you've said it all. I'm working in private practice as a therapist, and more recently, actually transitioning more into coaching with my clients. I do a lot of work with couples and mother-daughter coaching as well. And it's a hybrid of online and face-to-face work, which is really, really lovely, especially after the last few years we've had.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's me.
Oh, that's great. Thanks for that
Yeah.
introduction. So, I guess to kick off, can you tell us how you define a support network and why should it be a priority for us at all stages of our private practice journey?
Right. So I define a support network as a space that is safe for you to be yourself in, to just take off that hat of being a therapist, right? And it starts
Mm.
with the support you get from yourself. So that self relationship, and then the one you have with others, right? So a support network can be one person or a group of people as well. A respite for you as a therapist. It should be a space where you can be supported, challenged, enlightened, empowered, and refreshed. So, for example, there's groups like supervision groups, CPD, friendship groups, family, any type of group that is really safe for you to just be. I define as a support network.
hmm And for many therapists, the idea of networking, I guess, is uncomfortable. To be honest, networking for most of us is really uncomfortable.
hmm
And it might not feel like it's sort of the done thing, but what might be driving some of these limiting beliefs and how can we overcome them as therapists?
Yeah, I think, this work is it's like you're a lone ranger.
Yeah.
It's half the time. It's just like, you have no one else in the room there with you and the client. And there's so much around privacy and confidentiality as well. So like, even asking for support, sometimes you can be limited because there's all, privacy, confidentiality. You want to keep your clients safe. You want to keep those boundaries.
hmm
And then also the way we're trained, a good therapist knows that it's all about the client, right? We are here to serve the client and to meet their needs. And we kind of disappear in the background of all that. So, we're not used to putting ourselves at the front and center. Do you
Yeah,
know what
like
I
serving
mean?
ourselves. Yeah, you're serving the
Yeah,
client more. Yeah,
yeah,
I know what you mean. Yeah, that makes total
yeah.
sense.
And I I think the role of the therapist is centered around quite a patriarchal role as well. In
hmm
terms of therapists are seen like nurturers, like mothers. So it's very similar to the traditional relationship of mother and child, where it's
hmm
all about someone else's needs and your needs come last.
hmm
So it's about removing those beliefs and knowing that I am a person and I have needs, and my clients have needs as well. My clients aren't here to meet my needs, but I can definitely get my needs met in other ways. It's making it okay to ask yourself, what do I need? And then
hmm
extend that to other people, making it,
hmm
it okay to ask, what do I need? What kind of support do I need? And knowing that that doesn't make you a bad therapist for having your own needs, your own issues, your own anxieties, your own fears. Because apart from being in that mode of like serving other people's needs all the time, the other end of that spectrum is like kind of like becoming some kind of like guru, right? Because I'm a therapist, I've got it all figured out. I don't
Yeah.
have any issues, you know? I've done
Yeah.
all the breath work, I've done all my
Uh-huh.
work, you know, I don't need help, you know. So it's coming past those type of beliefs to know that you are human first, just like your clients are, you know, knowing that you are human and telling yourself that you need to be your best self to be able to perform this role for your clients. You have to look after yourself first, otherwise you cannot look after your clients. A lot of us as therapists suffer from burnout, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because we say yes, yes, yes. We don't know how to put boundaries for ourselves to get what we need.
And I guess it's like listening to your own advice that you're saying to clients, because
Yeah.
therapists kind of give this advice. We know what's the best for our clients, we know what's best for
Hmm.
ourselves, really, but it's just following that
Hmm.
advice, isn't it? Our own advice
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
Um,
and sorry, go
yeah,
on.
no, carry on, no, carry on.
No, I was just gonna say, like in terms of like support groups, so like your personal support group, one thing I found useful is having people who share your ambition, your dreams, who understand what you do to remind you when you forget, to like
Mm.
remind you of why you've started doing this, you know, and to remind you to get that support you need. Because sometimes we, like you said, we just forget. We dish out the advice to our clients, but we don't take it ourselves.
It's easy to do. What are the professional and personal benefits of building relationships with others in our field, and also beyond that as well?
Mm. So, um, some of the professional benefits would be, for example, last year I went on a retreat to Jamaica. I
Oh,
mean,
nice.
yeah, how is that for work, right?
I know that, yeah. I mean, I would say a holiday, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah, but it was because I'd joined a network of coaches, you know, and
amazing.
yeah, they have these retreats once a year. So it's really, really beneficial. Another thing is like doing loads of CPD,
Mm,
joining professional networks. You get to meet people, like for example, I'm in Richmond, um, and I have contacts all over the world. That's been the great thing over the last few years, everything being taken online. So
mm,
you can form groups like, so, you know, if you're living in a place where there's not many other therapists or professionals in your area, you can join different support groups. And it just really opens you up into other people's world, into how they do things. You know, it helps with the cultural competency as well. Professional memberships as a support group as well keep you safe, actually, because you're working with other people that share the same professional ethics as you do, you know. So in situations where as therapists you could get into tricky situations with clients, the professional memberships are there to support you through that. Attending events as well, it just takes you out. Anything that takes you out of the room, out of that room, is really, really good for you, you know. So, and also just growing your knowledge base by networking with other people. And finally, as well, it just helps to put you out there. You have a network of people that you can refer other people to, and other people will refer people to you. I can honestly say that professional networking has really just blown up my, like, I get to work with people like that I would never meet if I just sat in Richmond. You know, I
yeah,
get to work
yeah.
with people in different continents, and it's just really, really amazing to be able to do that.
When you network, do you have a preference between like an online support group or an in-person one, or do you think they kind of they're so different you couldn't really compare? What's your preference, like if you had to choose?
Hmm.
Or maybe you don't have a preference. Maybe this, I don't know,
I
maybe they're just
don't. They
completely
both,
different. Yeah.
I know they're both so, like, I have like my in-person group, right? My my Richmond ladies, and we
Yeah.
meet once a month, and it's lovely. It's lovely to be able to see someone, to feel the energy in the room, to give each other a
Yeah. Because
hug.
that's the big difference, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and sometimes, like, go out for dinner with them, and just discuss whatever's coming up for us at
Mm.
work. And that's really
Mhm.
great. The online ones, though, mean that I can work with people I wouldn't normally have
Mm.
access to,
Totally.
you know.
And get
I
loads
can,
of different perspectives on things, and
yes,
for people all over the world, not just like in a pocket in the
yeah,
UK sort of thing.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's really
yeah,
cool. Yeah,
yeah.
I like that.
And I mean, those groups will do things like I said, the retreat at the end of a
Mm,
year for everyone to finally meet in
mm.
person, So,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
I
good.
think,
So you get the
yeah.
best of both, really, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's nice.
It's nice. It is
Hmm.
nice. It's very, very nice. But yeah, I couldn't say I can't pick. I just love meeting people, whichever way I can,
I know.
you know.
And it's good that people in maybe like more rural areas or isolated
Yes.
areas have that option, because they wouldn't be
Mm-hmm.
able to meet maybe not even two other people in their area. So it's really
Yeah,
nice that they have that
yeah,
opportunity.
yeah.
And so how can we set up our professional support network? So how do we set up like conferences, our supervisor, for example? How do we find them?
Mm-hmm.
Supervision groups. Where did you find yours, and how can people find them?
So my supervision group actually consists of people I did my training with,
Mm.
and we decided to form a supervision group outside of that. But apart from that, there's other things like supervision groups that I've made. Like, obviously, I finished training about 4 or 5 years ago now.
Mm.
But I've done other trainings. So in every training I've done, so for example, with mother-daughter coaching, most faculties will offer supervision
Yeah.
to trainees and coaches.
Yeah.
So with every CPD you take, it's always good to reach out to someone that's in the training with you, and get some kind of support after the training is done.
Mm-hmm.
The professional memberships as well offer loads of resources where you can, like, there's notice boards on there, social media as well. I've seen supervisors advertise on Facebook, on LinkedIn, hey, I'm doing this, the BACP, Baton, Black African Asian Therapy Network, that,
Mm-hmm.
they all have resources there where you can go and find a supervisor. Counseling directory as well. If you're looking for a supervisor, you
Mm-hmm.
can find one there. And it's also just asking your other therapist colleagues, like, who's your supervisor? Can you recommend someone to me? So,
Yeah. And I guess the more you get into these networking circles, the more
mhm,
people you're going to meet, the more sort of maybe supervisors you'll be referred to, or
mhm,
exposed to. So it can just
yeah.
grow, can't it?
And I think another good way to do it is doing, like, if you're, up to date with your CPD, your continuing professional development,
Mm.
attending different events and talks, you will meet people there that have a similar interest or are working in a similar niche to you. And so it's not always about having like a supervisory relationship that is like the same person you see every month for life. You can just
Mm.
hit someone up and be like, hey,
Mm.
I know you work with mother-daughter. I need a bit of supervision around this area. So it can be quite flexible and casual,
Mm.
So,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
good. Yeah, so
Hmm.
yes, of course. I didn't really think of that about that. You don't have to stick with the same supervisor for your entire career, do you? You can switch and
Yeah.
change, and depending on what
Yeah.
route or sort of you go
Hmm.
down in your niche. Yeah, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Moving on to a personal support network, then, which
Hmm.
um, hopefully we've all got those.
Hmm.
How can we approach this? Who might our personal support network be?
Wow. Obviously, family
Yeah,
and
hopefully
friends,
your family.
hopefully. But you know what? I'm laughing though, but I know that when I was in training, and even now, one thing about this kind of work is you're working on yourself as much as you're working with clients. And the
Mm,
more you find your inner voice, your authentic self, it can impact your personal relationships,
mhm.
So I've seen well, that sounds quite dire, but marriages break up.
Hmm.
Therapists have quite a high rate of like divorce and breaking up of homes once they've taken this training because they find a new area of themselves. So
Hmm.
there is that to be said. But
Hmm.
it's about letting your people, whoever they are, know what you need,
Yeah.
and not assuming that they will know what you need. So, for example, with my friends, if I've had like a particularly tough week at work and we've arranged to meet up, I will tell them, I just want to play today. I don't want to talk any deep stuff,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it can be hard. You have no more capacity for that.
Hmm.
So it's just figuring out, and this is what I mean about the relationship with yourself. You need to ask yourself first what you need so that you can ask other people
Hmm.
what you need, because the people in the background, if you let them know, it's really, I mean, like today, for me to be able to sit in my home and for everywhere to be quiet without my 17-year-old screaming at the PS5, it takes quite a
Yeah.
it takes quite a bit of coordination, but I had to ask for that,
Hmm.
So it's asking for what you need and also making time for them because
Hmm.
it's very easy for us to get lost in work and so tired afterwards that you just kind of want to retreat into yourself.
Hmm.
So it's actually being intentional about pouring into and allowing ourselves to be poured into by our family and friends as well,
Hmm.
you know, to
Yeah.
reconnect back
Uh-huh.
with them.
And
Mhm.
how can we make time to maintain our relationships outside work? So, for example, if you're a therapist, you're running your own busy practice, and you've also got children at home. So, how do
Mhm.
you make the time to nourish each of those kind of things?
Um, well, I schedule it in.
Mm-hmm.
I schedule it in. So I have this conversation because if I had a client at 10 a.m. in the morning, there'd be nothing. It's very rare that I would cancel, right?
Yeah.
So it's about seeing yourself and your relationships with your people as that much of a priority,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I schedule it in. I schedule things far in advance. I know that I can't do things last minute because of the nature of the work. When you're in the room, you can't answer phones, you can't do all that, but I schedule in advance.
Mm-hmm.
So if I know that I finish work on Friday at 2 o'clock, I could schedule in with my friend to meet me up for a coffee.
Mm-hmm.
It's also scheduling things in between clients. I find that really useful. So if you've got like an hour or something, like for your lunch or whatever, and you tell your friend, can you meet me up for coffee or I'll call you at this time? It's just
Mm.
making sure that you schedule it in and you have the same approach that you do with your clients. Like, I am not going to bail out of this and asking for support. If you're a mom that's got young kids, you do need support. You need to
Mm.
ask for support,
Mm-hmm.
so making sure that you have your childcare in place, making sure everyone, it really, really is a team effort, So ask for support and schedule it in. Just make it a priority, a non-negotiable. If you
Yeah.
can make time to sit with a client for an hour, you can make time to sit with yourself for an hour.
I really like that idea. So it's like almost treating yourself, your support network, and your
Hmm.
clients almost the same in the
Hmm.
importance of how they take up your time or
Yeah.
in your life. I really like that. That's really, really good because I know I'm definitely guilty of. I'm tired after work. Actually, I'm just going to cancel, or I'm going to move that I was doing
Hmm.
because I just. But yeah, I've managed to set 8 hours for work. So
Hmm.
yeah, I like that. It's good.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
and I mean, I've been there too. But the thing is, once you drag yourself, I hope none of my
And
friends are
sometimes it
listening
feels
to
like
it.
that. Yeah, I know. I know.
You
Yeah.
know, once
Uh-huh.
you drag yourself there, you feel better.
You do. Hmm.
Yeah. And
And you
and
always come
it's
home thinking, actually, that was fine. I didn't know. Well, that
yeah,
wasn't actually. I actually
yeah,
had a really nice time.
yeah,
More
yeah.
often than not. Hmm.
Hmm. You need that. You need a
Mm.
place where you don't have that therapist hat on,
Hmm.
you really, really do need that.
Hmm.
So it's just like making it a priority, seeing ourselves as priorities, people with needs as well, as
Mm-hmm.
much as we see our clients.
Yeah, really hard to do, but necessary. Because as
Hmm.
you say, we can't help anybody else if we've not
Yeah,
looked after ourselves.
yeah. And make it easy as well
Yeah.
to be able to turn up. So like I work, my office is next to a Starbucks.
Mm-hmm.
So I will often tell people, like, if I know I finish at 5 today, it's like, okay, meet me at Starbucks at 5:30. So I haven't even gone home yet, like in any way you can, make it easy for yourself to meet up with those people if you have to.
Mm-hmm. Do you sort of make your appointments or fill your calendar that's kind of suits your life as well? So
Hmm.
instead of booking clients, you'll book clients into times where you know that you can give everything to them, kind of thing, but you wouldn't
Yes.
necessarily book clients in at 8 o'clock in the evening because that wouldn't work for you. So
Yes.
it's finding that balance as well, I
Hmm.
suppose.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah. So it's like if you're in private practice, it's remembering that you work for yourself.
Mm,
you know like, and it's so easy to have that mindset that you had, say, when you were working in an agency or an office
mm,
or for someone else, like, I have to do this. And a
mm,
lot of the time I tell myself I get to do this, and that
mm,
changes how I schedule. So for example, I will not see clients before 10 o'clock in the morning,
mm-hmm,
and I will not see them after 7 p.m. because
mm-hmm,
I need that time to look after myself. I want to
mm,
have breakfast with my family, all those
yeah.
type of things. So you can do your schedule in a way that works for you. And you end up showing up better for your clients when you've done that. When
Mm,
you're doing it from a place of, I get to do this. I'm in control of my time, as opposed to I have to do it. So
yeah.
you schedule time that works for you, and time where you can have that support network time as well. So I
Mm-hmm,
schedule in my peer supervision. I schedule in like coffees with friends, scheduling.
that's
Otherwise, my
great.
life is a mess without a
Yeah.
schedule.
Yeah, I know.
And yeah, and blocking out times in your calendar for that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. I suppose you don't have to do the sort of 9 to 5 with an hour lunch. You can do
Mm,
whatever kind of suits your lifestyle, which is actually
yeah.
such a freedom, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier as our
Mm-hmm.
as therapists being kind of lone rangers. We've got
Mm-hmm.
perfectionist, high achiever, really independent. These are all the
Mm-hmm.
labels that could be placed on a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
Asking for help ourselves, as we know, is maybe not what we're best known for. So, how
Mm-hmm.
can we do this in a way that's comfortable? Maybe even asking for therapy ourselves. Well, is that something that you would
Mm-hmm.
advise?
First of all, it's that relationship with self, putting
Mm,
yourself front and center. So, like, ask yourself consistently and constantly, what do I need? Because throughout your day, you're asking other people what they need. You're asking your friends, you're asking your kids, you're asking your clients, and we forget to ask ourselves what we need. So,
mm,
if you get used to yourself, like asking yourself what you need, it makes it easier for you to ask other people.
mm-hmm.
In terms of discomfort, right? High achievers, perfectionists. Yeah, you've got one in the room, I suspect, too.
Yeah.
So, you know what I think, right? It's never gonna stop, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
we can only work on it. And I say, get used to that discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
Get used to the discomfort of stepping out of your comfort zone to ask for help. It is
Mm-hmm.
not going to be comfortable. It's never going to be comfortable. We still do it anyway. It is really, really crucial. So don't expect that you're going to feel really comfortable saying, oh, I need help with this, or oh, I need a therapist, or I need a support group. It's
Mm-hmm.
not comfortable. It's uncomfortable. So
Mm-hmm.
let's get used to being uncomfortable. That's
Mm-hmm.
part of the growth, because what's on the other side of that discomfort is the help and support that you
Mm-hmm.
need. And I always say go to therapy so that you don't have to go to therapy. I see therapy as part of my self-care. So I still see a therapist. Um, not as much as I used to, like twice a month now, but I see it as part of my self care. It's a space where you just go to be held, to just to just be, and there's nothing wrong with that. And another thing I say to other therapists or people I train as well is, you know what, if everyone was like you or me, we wouldn't be in a job. We wouldn't have a job
Well,
because
true. Yeah.
everyone's walking around saying, I don't need help, I don't need support, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and also realizing in those moments of discomfort, like journaling about it as well, like what is it bringing up for you? Because it also helps you key into your clients more. You know what they're going through, you know how, like, the level of discomfort that they probably went through to even pick up the phone and call you to say, I need a therapist, or to send that
Mm-hmm.
email,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's just putting yourself in those shoes as well and just doing it anyway. If you give in to that, if you allow that discomfort to stop you, it's never going to go away. We just do it anyway, don't we? So
Yeah.
I often say to people, like, just don't focus on trying to make the discomfort go away. Let it be your friend. That's part
Yeah.
of your
Let it be
growth.
uncomfortable, and that's just how it
Yes.
is.
Yes.
Yeah. And that
Yeah.
can be the same with many other things, not just asking for
Mm-hmm.
help, I guess. So lots of things aren't comfortable in life, I
Yeah.
suppose. And maybe, yeah, maybe it is.
Yeah.
It's not pushing it away. It's just
Mm-hmm.
embracing that discomfort and
Yeah.
knowing that on the other side of that discomfort is comfort, probably. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And lots of self-compassion as well,
Mm,
like lots and lots of self-compassion. We're so compassionate and empathic with other people. It's about being compassionate with
mm-hmm,
yourself,
mm-hmm,
like telling yourself it's okay not to know stuff. I mean, well, how are you going to know everything? Like, it's okay to make mistakes. It's like absolutely okay. Like, lots of self-compassion, being your own best friend.
mm-hmm,
And then I have, like, sometimes when it's really, really bad, I do a lot of affirmation. So even something as simple like, I give and receive help. I'm human, and that's okay. It's
mm-hmm,
okay to be human. It's okay
mm-hmm,
to ask for support, like, it's not a big deal,
mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully, a lot of people will take that
hmm
on board because, like,
I
yeah,
really
it's,
hope so,
yeah,
I really
I
hope
hope so.
so. And I don't think that therapy or coaching is like, a lot of us, there's still this stigma attached to it. And it's
Mm,
surprising when I hear it from other professionals in the field. It's not just somewhere you go to when you feel lost or broken. It's also somewhere you go to from a place of empowerment, right?
mm-hmm,
Of, like,
mm-hmm,
just looking after yourself. It's not, there's no shame in it. There shouldn't be any shame in it. Unfortunately, a lot of us struggle with that. We think that if we ask for help, it means that something is wrong.
mm-hmm.
And it's like making it okay for things to be wrong, making it
Yeah,
okay for you to have weak moments and knowing that
yeah,
they will pass, but not going through it alone, like,
mm-hmm,
just reach out,
mm-hmm.
you will be welcome.
Yeah, that's it. You will, and that's, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just uncomfortable to do it sometimes.
hmm
As a last question, then, are there any challenges that therapists might face with their personal relationships? Do you think?
As a therapist, you have this kind of, particularly when you have long-term clients,
Mm,
it's almost like you have this whole world, these close bonds, these close therapeutic bonds you share with other people that your family and friends aren't privy to,
mm-hmm,
and I think
mm,
that can be really, really hard because, of course, we're maintaining our clients' privacy and professional ethics and all that. And I think it can be really difficult to be holding that and not be able to share it with your family and friends.
mm,
And one
mm-hmm,
thing that I found is, like, yes, you don't have to tell them what your clients are going through, but if you're keen into yourself, to ask yourself how you feel after a particularly, triggering session or whatever, and just
yeah,
letting the people around you know that, what, I'm feeling a bit fragile right now, or I feel like I need a bit of looking after, asking
mm,
yourself what you need. Another challenge I think that can be faced in personal relationships is everyone thinks that you're their therapist. right? I've
Right.
had
Okay.
this,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah,
Yeah.
like even at
Like a free
parties.
therapist. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, this is going or like
Mm.
my son thinks this and da da da.
Mm.
And it can be
Mm.
really difficult because you're
Mhm.
like, I'm just here for the wine and cheese,
Yes.
you know?
Yes. Yeah.
So
There needs to be
it,
boundaries, doesn't there? Like
yes,
serious boundaries. Yeah.
yeah, that's the thing. It's like really, really like having those boundaries in place. I
Mm.
think it's in terms of those boundaries, it's really useful to have wind down time before you finish with clients and before
Mhm.
you go back in to see your family and
Mhm.
friends, so if it's 10 minutes out or 30 minutes, just doing whatever you need to do to ground yourself back into the present and
Mhm.
come back to yourself before you go
Yeah.
and meet them, because a lot of the time you can be taking whatever feelings have been evoked from you into your personal space
Mhm.
without
Mhm.
realizing it.
Mhm.
um
Yeah,
and I
that's a
think
good
it's,
idea.
yeah, it's
Mhm.
really important, like it's just, even if it's just to sit and breathe or whatever, just take that out, move your body in some kind of way before you
Mhm.
go into um seeing them.
Mhm.
And then the other thing, yeah, another thing in personal relationships I've found is that people think that therapists are like mind readers.
Oh, do you think they get paranoid that you're
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you meet people and it's like it takes on this identity of its own. Like once you say that word therapist, that's all they see. And it's like you feel like even sharing your own experiences or your own problems, people are looking at you, but you're a therapist.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Like
Mhm.
if I said to you now, like I have a fear like of public speaking, I was freaking out before I came onto this show. You
You don't
say
need
that,
to.
yeah, you know, but
Yeah.
people expect, because you work with people on things like that you don't have your own stuff that you deal with. And there can be an element, particularly in the mother-daughter coaching as well. Like if there's problems going on in your home, in your personal life or whatever, there can be a lot of shame,
Mhm.
and opening up to people because they're like, well, you're an expert in this, you should know this, so you shouldn't have any problems, or they think
Mm.
that you can read their mind, when in fact we are all just human beings
Mhm.
with messy lives trying to do the best we can,
Even
but
therapists.
even therapists, yes, you
Yeah.
know.
Uh-huh.
So I think that can cause you sometimes to like not be able to open up to
Mm.
people because there's
Mhm.
this air of, well, you should know it all, or they think that you should know it all.
Mm. Mhm.
So it's really, yeah, there's a lot in that.
I guess sometimes that's where your therapist support group can come in really handy because they all
Hmm.
know how you're feeling in that kind of
Hmm.
realm
Yeah,
of
yeah.
perhaps people seeing you differently just because you've told them you're a therapist or something.
Yeah, yeah. The peer supervision groups have been amazing in that, because
Mm.
sometimes, like, they're the only ones that really know what it feels like,
Mm. Yeah.
as supportive as family and friends can be. There is a space we inhabit that only others who have entered that space knows what it
Hmm.
feels like.
Hmm.
So yeah. So back to, we need the professional support to support the personal, like,
Yeah, it's almost a full
yes.
circle, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we summarise today's topic, I just wanted to let you know that the Healthy Practice podcast is brought to you by WriteUp, the software that streamlines your practice, saves time, and connects you with your patients. WriteUp helps over 13,000 clinicians and has facilitated over 4 million appointments. You can start your free trial today and check out all of the amazing features like video consultations, cashless payments, diary management, and having one place to store all of your patient records. Just go to writeup.com, that's WRITEUPP.com. So before I let you go today, we just want to do a really, really quick summary of some of the stuff that we've covered. So if you could sum up for me how to build a personal and professional support network, just in a few words.
Okay. So your personal relationships matter. So make sure that you schedule it in and you prioritize it as much as you prioritize your clients. In terms of professional networks, join the professional buddies, go to networking events. When you go for your CPD, your trainings and all that, reach out to someone, use social media, reach out to someone on social media and make sure that even in those spaces, that know yourself what you want out of it. Make sure that you feel safe in those spaces as well. Yeah.
And a sum up of any of our challenges with our personal relationships. How do we overcome them in a few words?
Listen to yourself
Yeah.
first. You need to ask yourself what you need. If you know what you need, then it makes it easier to communicate to other people what you need, and have boundaries.
Yeah.
Really, really a lot of boundaries in place. Personal life, professional life, not taking out what's going on at work, not bringing it into the home. I know that's hard, but we really do need those boundaries in place.
Communication is really key, isn't it? And learning how
Yeah.
to communicate well, and not being afraid to communicate with like either of your networks, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. Knowing that it's okay to ask for what you need, which is something that we don't often do, it's okay. So start with yourself. Tell yourself what you need. Ask yourself multiple times a day. You'll be amazed at what a difference that makes, because you spend so much time asking everyone else what they need. If you know what you need and you've communicated it to yourself, it makes it easier to communicate to other people what kind of space you need from them,
Definitely does. If you're in the audience right now, what would be the one challenge you set yourself this week to grow your support network, if perhaps you haven't been growing your support network up until now?
You know what I'm going to do this week? I am going to reach out to somebody on social media, to someone, another
Nice.
therapist page, and I like what she does. And I'm just going to send her a message and say, hi.
That's so cool. And any of us can do that. Any of us can
Yeah.
do that, can't we? This
Yeah.
week. And we can start growing that network just by reaching out to
Yeah.
one person.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like
So
that.
just
Especially if it's
go
someone
on
you
your...
were already following and you admire them and you think, yeah, actually,
Yeah.
I think we align. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So that's what I'm
Brilliant.
going to do.
Thank you, Bibi. Where can our
Thank
listeners
you.
follow more of your work?
I'm on Instagram at Restore to Love. And my website, restoretolove.co.uk. You can find me there.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Bibi. And thank you so much for being on The Healthy Practice today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
And that's the end of today's episode. I just wanted to say a really big thank you to Bibi. If anything struck a chord with you, please let us know by reaching out. Remember to check out writeup.com for all of your practice's software solutions and to start your free 30-day trial. No payment details are required. Thanks for listening to the Healthy Practice podcast. If you enjoyed it, please leave us a review. It really does help more than you might think. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.